All right, so Julie made some interesting comments. I think a lot of what she said was probably pretty accurate. People are obviously confused. We talked about that earlier. But as far as your body, does your body recognize that you're eating a natural sugar as opposed to a high fructose corn syrup product? Or is sugar in your body?
Yeah, we'll break down all, whether it be sugar from yogurt or sugar from bread or noodles or whatever, fruit, or honey. It'll all break down to its basic components. The amount of sugar that we get will depend on what we're eating. So if you're eating a really sugary yogurt, you're obviously going to get more of the sugar. So I guess the question is label reading, I think too, is what she was kind of touching on there. I think what I kind of find with my clients is reading the ingredients list. Is seeing if sugar, whether it be where she was saying whether it be cane sugar or honey or fructose or sucrose, because oftentimes not only will they have it at the front end, but they'll also have it multiple times in the list. So when you add it all up, the sugar is quite a bit. Where she said with the yogurt with the 23 grams, there is naturally occurring sugar in food, so we have to be careful of what is that absolute number. Is because if it seems high, some of it actually will be okay. To what point is it too much? So that's where we go into the ingredients list. If sugar is, in the top 3, it would be something that I would maybe go to the next product to look for something.
So regardless if it's naturally occurring or refined, added, if it's top 3, obviously you want to stay away.
Yeah, I mean, again, if it's naturally occurring in the yogurt, you're going to get lactose sugar. So that's the naturally occurring, the 8 grams. And then if you add the blueberries, then now we've got the sugar coming from fruit is very, going to give me some vitamin C and some antioxidants. But then if we're adding, refined sugars to that yogurt, that's the difference. We don't know sometimes when we read the labels, have they added 5 grams of sucrose or if they added 10 grams? How much is actually coming from the natural occurring fruit and the milk sugar versus what they've added? And that's the confusion. The other thing is too, we have to look at fiber, because if I eat an apple, sure, it has a certain amount of natural fructose sugar in it, but it also has fiber, so that will slow down the release of sugar in my body versus if I had a sports drink or even, let's say, apple juice. So sugar,
a lot to consider.
Lots to consider how we consume it and how it is released in the body.
Label-wise, though, I mean, other than throwing a warning label for, you set a benchmark for added sugars and then it's got a warning label, I don't necessarily know that any grocery store is going to want to stock products that have that label. I don't think that's going to work. So, I mean, what is the solution as far as the label on the back of a product? Do we list what is the content of natural sugars, list the added sugar? Is that realistic? Is that a realistic approach?
Well, it gets confusing. I find even the nutrition facts label is really great. Like, that was one of the push to give the consumer more information. But then even looking at it, I find that people don't really know what they're looking for.
Sure.
So I think sometimes adding in more information, may or may not be a good thing. Right now, as it stands, it does shows the total carbohydrate. It shows sugars. So, but it doesn't distinguish between added sugar or the sugar that Samara is saying in fruit, and it does say fiber. So I don't think necessarily. I think it would be great to put in more information always, right? But I think as it stands right now, I think in isolation, those nutrition facts labels are difficult to read.
So you're saying overhaul the whole?
No, I don't think overhaul all of them. It's just that there's so much information that when I go to pick up a box of cereal, it's really hard. Is this amount of fiber, is that enough, or is that too little, or what? I find that they're really great using them together, so comparing products. So if I'm looking for cereal is, okay, I like this brand and I like this brand, and comparing which one has the best fiber, which one has the lowest salt, and then, and reading the ingredients labels, where is sugar listed in there, and this one is at the front of the list and this one's at the bottom of the list, and kind of seeing it that way.
You just have to be diligent, it sounds like.
Yeah, or even knowing when you're reading sugar labels that 4 grams equals a teaspoon of sugar.
See, this is my other big, I want to get into that. I'm going to cut you off, but I do want to get into that.
So that a visual, I think, will also help people.
Absolutely. I want to touch on that just a sec. I got to jump to another quick break. We've got one more rant pack speaker. Folks, stay with us.
My personal thoughts on sugar is that it's delicious, first of all. Is it addicting? Absolutely. It's genetically encoded into our bodies that if you eat fatty foods or sugary foods, your body says, keep eating more of that, I need it. But that's from back when we were hunting deer with spears and stuff, rocks and such. So we had to eat as much of that as we could to stay healthy and stay alive. These days, I think you need to regulate the type of sugar in your body. If you're to use palm sugar, unrefined sugar, sucralose, which is the sugar from fruits, it's a lot different than using, what is that stuff, non-hydrogenated corn syrup or high fructose corn syrup. That's it. That stuff is terrible. Should be taken off the market. It causes so much diabetes and obesity, and there will be studies to prove me right sooner or later.
I think Adam's right. There will be studies to prove him right in the future. I wouldn't doubt it. I do want to just kind of backtrack though and get into the labeling again. The thing that I think really confuses people is measurements. So sugar is currently listed on every product in grams. You know, I don't know what 15 grams looks like. Now, maybe when I was 19, a different substance, that's a different story.
Right.
But nobody knows what 15 grams of sugar looks like. Now, I do know what 3 teaspoons of sugar looks like. I mean,
right.
Is that a conscious effort?
Well, again, it's consistency. So
Yeah.
you're looking at 4 grams of fiber. You might see that on a label there's so many milligrams of sodium. So they're just trying to keep consistency. But I think making a visual or having another panel saying that 4 grams equals 1 teaspoon of sugar, or a Health Canada or Dietitians of Canada educating the public and letting them know that the 4 grams equals 1 teaspoon would certainly take them to a different level of visualize.
Because you
would,
step? Yeah.
Absolutely, because I wouldn't, if I was having a can of Coke and there was 10 teaspoons of sugar in that can of Coke and I saw 10 teaspoons of sugar in a glass, would I drink that all at once? Of course not. Yeah. So I think the grams means nothing, but if I saw the teaspoons on a label or visually saw it, I think that would definitely make me question what I was drinking or eating.
Yeah, I think it would be hard to argue that.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually back to your point and back to the gentleman's point before that,
sure.
In terms of argument, is that the body of evidence supporting that we should be decreasing it and the benefits of decreasing sugar is overwhelming. The studies, the body of science to support it is huge. And that's why the World Health Organization has made that recommendation, and it's a strong recommendation. They have levels of how they make statements, and it is actually a strong recommendation. So yeah.
I mean, recommending the 4 to 6 teaspoons of sugar per day, I think that would just definitely educate the whole Canadian population. Just do something so easy.
Take a look at what you're eating. You can tally it up as you go.
Exactly.
I'm telling you, it's
I mean, the average
the
average Canadian consumes 80 grams of sugar at least a day. Well, what does that mean? But if you told them that's 15 to 18 teaspoons of sugar a day that you're consuming and it's just too much, then all of a sudden people will maybe step back.
Was that just off the cuff, or is that the fact that the average Canadian consumes
over 80 grams of sugar
a
day, which is about 15 teaspoons of sugar a day?
Has that risen over the past 10, 15 years? Are we eating a lot more sugar now than we were in the past?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, really what's happened is our portions have increased. So we're maybe not consuming as much in those beverages. They're not getting any sweeter, but all of a sudden our coffee is 3 times the size as it used to be, and we're adding more sugar, and we're buying the Pepsi at the movie theater, and we're not buying a small anymore. We're getting an extra large because that comes with my popcorn.
Yeah, we're sort of going the road of our southern neighbors to a degree, it seems like. Okay, so that said, no one's going to just drop eating sweet foods. People they love their sweet foods one way or another. We eliminate sugar, sure, but then we get into things like artificial sweeteners. Things like sucralose, saccharin, aspartame. Are they necessarily a better alternative, Jessica?
My opinion, and you know, other dietitians might have a different perspective, but my opinion is no, they're not the panacea that we thought they were going to be. Is that they were, you know, brought into market around in the 1950s, and you know, we've been increasing their use, and we were trying to kind of swap them out in terms of a weight loss management technique into diet pops and such. But there is more studies to show that as people are increasing their usage or taking in more and more of these artificial sweeteners, those people are gaining more and more weight over time.
Yeah.
So it's what is going on. They haven't really figured out the cause and effect. They kind of speculate that it has something to do with the gut flora, but I think also there's some other kind of lifestyle things that are happening that attributes to that weight gain. So it could be that somebody chooses one of these yogurts that has no sugar added, but then so they're eating larger volumes of it. But yeah, so I don't think that's actually the fix, is putting in artificial sweeteners.
Yeah, and it's not moving people to a whole food diet, right? So you're getting still into packaged and processed foods when you're choosing those foods. You're not moving them down the fruit or the vegetable aisle or to the whole grain cereals. We're still not making healthy food choices when we go down that route.
So then, okay, if I'm trying to wean myself off of sugar, I mean, I'm going to do it slowly, but I'm committed to doing it. What's some good advice? I mean, what is the best advice for somebody who's really trying to do that, diet strategy-wise?
I think taking a look at what are your usual diet suspects. So if you're eating the same cereal every day, is trying to check to see how much sugar is in some of the common things that you eat. Just educate yourself. Yeah, take a look, take a good kind of look at what you're doing on the day-to-day basis.
Any superfoods that are going to help the process along?
Oh, blueberries, frozen blueberries into your into your cereals can help. But I also think too, sometimes changing the palate. So what something is super sweet to you now, you can change the palate over time. So even mixing an unsweetened cereal with your regular sweetened cereal, kind of do it half and half for kind of 10 to 14 days. Now you get used to something that's less sweet. You might be able to move to that unsweetened cereal by the third week because you've been able to change your palate.
First and foremost, if you really want to do it, you got to talk to a dietitian, right?
There you go.
Ladies, thanks very much for being here. That's all the time we've got. Folks, thank you for joining us. As always, we're on Facebook, Twitter. Don't be a stranger. You can get at us. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.